What's up and welcome, I'm the one and only West Coast King, and welcome back to Major League 90, where today, we're not talking Major League Soccer. Instead, we're going to be talking about the United States national team heading into the Copa America, coming up in, less than a week? I believe they kick off next Friday against Colombia. And we're going to have a look at the team and kind of everything surrounding that heading into this big tournament, played on home soil in the United States as well. So that's going to be a really big tournament. I'm really looking forward to it. So let's get into this. So the first thing we're going to do today is have a look at the roster, and let's put that up right now. Here is the 23-man roster, all the players that were selected for the team headed into this tournament. And honestly, I don't really have a problem with any of the players that were selected for this tournament. I don't think you can really take a look and say that any one player doesn't deserve his spot. I think they've all done enough, either in their club in the last year or so, or in the national team overall in their past, to say that yes, they do deserve to be there. So I'm not going to say right off the bat that anyone just doesn't deserve their spot. I think all of them are sound selections, and I can't really say that I would take anyone out for sure. But I would say that there are a couple of players that I don't know if they add anything to the team. They're kind of redundancies where there's a player already in the roster ahead of them that they kind of fill in the same spot, if you understand what I'm saying. I think there could have been players picked instead of them that would add a little bit of something else to the team. So one of those players right off the bat, I would have to say, is Kyle Beckerman. And I know he did a great job in the World Cup, getting called up by Klinsmann after a long period out of the national team, heading into that last World Cup. He played fantastic for the United States. However, as a defensive-minded midfielder, I would say he's behind Perry Kitchen, Jermaine Jones, and even Michael Bradley, if you want to classify him as a defensive midfielder. I don't think Kyle Beckerman adds anything else to the team that those players don't already bring. Instead, I would have liked to have seen maybe Klinsmann go with a younger option, specifically Kellen Acosta. I think he would add some athleticism to the team, and I know he probably wasn't, high up on the list of players that were in line to make this team, but again, I think he would have added something that those players, specifically Kitchen, Jones, and Bradley, do not bring to the team, and that is athleticism, a dynamic addition to that midfield that maybe that is a little bit lacking, and I would say that is a little bit lacking specifically in that holding midfield spot. Some speed, I think, is going to come in key, and I think they're going to be missing that desperately, especially in that first match against Colombia. And you look at that team, they've got speed everywhere. I mean, they're one of the paciest teams in the tournament, and I think that maybe that's going to be a problem for some of those midfielders. The next player that I would question his spot on the roster, and it's no surprise here, if you've been around my channel for long enough, I think you know my feelings on Chris Wondolowski. I understand that he's having a good season in the MLS, and he's been around the national team for quite some time, never really playing a major part in it other than his misses in key situations that cost us goals in the World Cup. Nonetheless, we're not going to talk about that. I know he's having a good season in the MLS. He has 7 goals this year already in the league. However, a lot of those, are penalty kicks. He does take a lot of penalties for his team, so not all of them are from the run of play. So we kind of have to put a little bit of an asterisk by his 7 goals this season. And there are 3 out-and-out strikers on this team: Wondolowski, Dempsey, and Bobby Wood. There are other players that can play strikers, such as Zardes, maybe Pulisic a little bit, and maybe a couple of other ones, but 3 out-and-out strikers in Wondolowski, Dempsey, and Bobby Wood. Dempsey, he's not going anywhere. He's been in the team. He's Clint Dempsey. He's not going to be taken out of the team. Bobby Wood, I love the inclusion of Bobby Wood. He definitely brings something unique to this team. He is a goal scorer. He's proved it in Germany, and he's going to move up to the top Bundesliga, the top level in Germany this year. I love his inclusion. Chris Wondolowski, what does he bring? Yes, he is a goal scorer, but not consistently enough for me, and he doesn't do anything that Dempsey can't do. So, Dempsey and Wood, I would say, are ahead of Wondolowski going into this tournament. So, I know that we needed striker depth in this team. We kind of lacked that a little bit. But instead of Chris Wondolowski, I would have liked to have seen Jordan Morris. And For me, as a Sounders fan, I'm slightly happy that Morris is not going because that would have left the Sounders in a very bad spot for the next month or so. And I think that now that that Dempsey's going away, it gives Morris the spotlight. He can actually play striker with no worries, go out there and play his game and prove that he should be on this team. And again, it's just the situation of I think Morris would have brought something to the team that Wondolowski can't. I think they're both capable goal scorers. I think Morris is kind of the hotter player right now, and I think that he definitely adds youth and athleticism to a team that's going to kind of need that up front, and it's something that they don't really have. Yes, Bobby Wood kind of fills that role, but I think Morris more specifically has that out-and-out pace, get in behind the defense, cause problems, cause chaos, and get shots on target. He definitely can do that. And I think that's something Wondolowski won't do. I think Wondolowski's more of a classic number 9, a stronger player. Yes, he gets his shots. Yes, he scores his goals, but he doesn't create those chances like Jordan Morris can. Now, the only other player that I really have to question here, and it's not even, I don't even really want to question whether or not he should be on the team. I'm more so questioning if right now is the right time to call this guy up, and that is Christian Pulisic. And by all accounts, he has done nothing but impress since his call-up to the senior team for Dortmund this year, and I've had nothing but praise for him, and I've been one of his biggest advocates since his call-up to the Dortmund team. However, that call-up in that time, that includes 9 appearances in the league for Dortmund, 3 more in the Europa League, and then 2 senior national team appearances for the United States. So we're talking 14 games, not many of them as a starter, mind you, for us to judge him on, and for us to make a case for Christian Pulisic to be in this team. Now, I could be completely wrong here. He could go out, have a huge role in this team, and absolutely kill it. And I hope he does that. But honestly, right now, for this tournament, I'm not sure if this is the right time. And another thing would be, if it is the right time for Pulisic, and it is a good idea to give him his spot, why not Morris then? I really don't understand why not Morris if you're going to go ahead and say, okay, we're going to get a little bit of youth in here. Jordan Morris has already proved his worth for the national team on multiple occasions. He's having a good year for Seattle when he's allowed to play striker. He has, 4 goals in 5 games for Seattle? So I really have to question, if Pulisic, why not Morris then? And even if it's not in place of Wondolowski, fine if you want to keep Wando. I understand that he is a goal scorer and he does bring some things to this team. Maybe in place of the likes of Graham Zusi, who I really don't understand what his role is going to be. He kind of plays everywhere. Again, a guy that doesn't have a set spot but can kind of fill in where needed. Not sure he really brings anything additionally to this team that's not already there. So Morris instead of Zusi would even make more sense than Morris instead of Wondolowski. I'm not really understanding the exclusion of Jordan Morris here. Now, you can also make the case of some of the defenders in this team, Jeff Cameron, Timmy Chandler being in there instead of maybe Matt Miazga or maybe Tim Ream or some of those other players that got left out. But honestly, I don't have a problem with that. If you want to bring Jeff Cameron instead of Matt Miazga, so be it. That's a little bit more experience. If you want to bring Timmy Chandler instead of Tim Ream or some of the other fullbacks, not really going to have a problem with that either. Michael Orozco, I think, was a little bit of a surprise being in the team, but by all accounts, he's had a great season in Mexico, so I don't have a problem with that. Fullback has always been a problem for the national team. I think we're going into this tournament with some of the best fullbacks that we've ever had for the United States. I think Yedlin and Fabian Johnson are going to be the starters. Yedlin at right back and Johnson at left back. And then the backups will be Orozco and Timmy Chandler. Maybe they'll start a game here or there. I'm not really sure, but I really do like our fullbacks here. And the defense overall, I think, is pretty sound. So honestly, the rest of the team, I don't have a problem with. So now that all of those questions are out of the way as far as who maybe does or does not deserve to be on the roster and a couple of the snubs that I thought maybe should be in there as well, we can go into kind of who I feel is poised for a big tournament, who I think is going to have a breakout performance. And the first one I'm going to start off with, I think we know who it's going to be. He's one of my favorite players ever since his days with Seattle, and it's DeAndre Yedlin. I think he had a very, very good season for Sunderland, out on loan from Tottenham, and I think he's only going to get better. Every time he goes to the national team, he gets better, and that is one of the main things that I do like about Jurgen Klinsmann. He's a great teacher, and he really, really nourishes that potential and brings it out of his players very, very well, better than most coaches that I've seen for the national team. So in that aspect, I've got to give Klinsmann a lot of props. He's certainly helped the career of DeAndre Yedlin, and I think this year, with consistent playing time for the national team, I think DeAndre Yedlin is going to have a massive tournament. I think he's set to really blossom and become a name both for the national team and then back in England. I don't know what his future holds at Tottenham. I don't know if they want to keep him or if they want to put him out on loan again or if they're going to sell him outright. But if he has a massive tournament, as big of a tournament as I think he's going to have and really shine for this team, I think he's set for probably a massive move, maybe away from Tottenham to even a bigger club or a team that's going to give him that starting spot at right back. And I think he could become the biggest United States player in Europe, if not, certainly in England, I would say, next season. I really do think he's poised for that much of a breakout. The other player I would say that we need to keep an eye on is another one of my favorite players on the team, and it's Bobby freaking Wood. We all know my admiration for Bobby freaking Wood. He just scores goals no matter what the situation, where he's at, where he's playing, where he's out of position, whatever. The dude just scores goals. I love Bobby Wood. I think if he gets consistent playing time, again, I don't know what his role is going to be necessarily on this team. I'm not sure if he's going to get the minutes necessary to have a huge breakout performance, but I would peg him to at least get a goal somewhere in the group stage games. I don't know when he's going to play or where, but I really do think Klinsmann needs to get him on the field. I think Klinsmann likes him enough and has seen enough of him, and again, a player in Germany right now that Klinsmann always loves. I think he'll give him his opportunity, and I think Bobby Wood will take it and run with it every step of the way for the last 2 years. He has moved up and continued to get better. 2 years ago, he was playing in the 3rd division of German football. Last year, moved up to Union Berlin in the 2nd Bundesliga. Now has a spot with Hamburg in the top flight in the Bundesliga. He just keeps getting better, and he keeps proving himself, and he just keeps scoring goals. I love Bobby Wood. I really do hope he has a massive performance, and I think he will. So that is going to do it for me in this one. Let me know what your thoughts are on the United States squad heading into the Copa America. How you think they'll do, how far you think they'll get, and who do you think is going to win the tournament? Honestly, I have no idea. I mean, some of the teams are not bringing their strongest squads, but even so, I mean, the likes of Brazil and Argentina, even without their best players, I still think have to be favorites. They always bring stacked squads regardless of whether or not their best players are in the team or not. So I think they have to be looked at as the favorites in this one, but you never know. Maybe a team like the United States can step up and have a great tournament and surprise some people. It's at home after all. Maybe we could win it. Probably not. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Probably not, but you know, it could happen. It could happen. So that's going to do it for this one. If you did enjoy it, make sure to let me know by leaving a like below. Subscribe if you're new, and I will see you when we come back for some more Major League 90. See ya.